Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we're just setting up, making sure everybody's okay,
Yeah.
making sure everybody's on live.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can see us.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
We're here in the desert where there's no sun today. Aren't we?
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
sun.
We came here to be hot, and today it's cold. Go figure.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
right somehow.
Okay. So let me have a cup of my tea.
Mm-hmm. I brought lots of water.
Cup of tea.
Yes.
That's for Joan.
Yeah. I don't.
Hey, Joan, it's a cup of tea for you.
Everybody else out there.
Okay. All right. I keep forgetting every time I do this, somebody else does it too. Okay. So are we all set to go? Okay. I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So back in 1989, January of 1989, I'll start there, but I got to go back and then start again. Okay. That's when I was crossing a highway while I was on a snowmobile, and I was having a really good time. I was with a bunch of guys. There were 7 of us in all. I was number 6 in the line because, of course, I wasn't as experienced as they were in snowmobiling. And these guys had been racing and snowmobiling for 25 years, so this is what they did every winter. And they invited me along, knowing full well that I was in a bit of a funk and I needed some mental stimulation as well as physical stimulation.
This is in Quebec.
So yeah, we went from Ontario to Quebec, on a really nice trip, about 700-800 miles away from where I was living, just to go out and do some snowmobiling. And Quebec snowmobiling in the wintertime, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're out snowmobiling, having a great time. The night before the accident, we went out from 10 in the morning, and we went out right through till about 4 o'clock in the morning. We got caught outside. We got caught being away from our home base, and it took us a long time to get back home. We were too far away. And of course, our machines were freezing because the temperature was back down to minus 42 Celsius.
Yeah.
It was really, really cold. And with your wind chill on those machines, it's like minus 100 Celsius. So the machines were freezing up. We were having to stop and warm them up and start up again and keep going. And some machines were freezing, some machines weren't.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, so we didn't get home until about, I guess it was about 4 o'clock in the morning. And we slept in till 10. So then we went to eat breakfast. So by that time, I've been working on 6 hours of sleep. For the last couple of days, I haven't slept all that well. Even though we're with a bunch of guys, and it's just overtiredness. So we went, had breakfast, and on the way back, we were coming back through a field that was and a hill, and there was a highway going, a small rural highway. It's not a really major highway, but we were crossing it, and so we hit every time that one guy would cross the field, he would cross first and then stop on the other side and give the directions to the one in front that was coming up behind him to come across. Come on, you're okay, or no, stop, you're not.
Yeah.
So as I'm coming through, and I'm number 6 now in this whole series, number 5 pulls over, stops, and the way the setup is that on the right-hand side, if you were looking, if I'm looking at crossing the road, it's on my left. The road curved, had a great big, huge curve with snowbanks that were about 20 feet high. Mm-hmm. And you couldn't see around the corner.
That's a snow.
So the guy is basically, he's giving me the signal to come across. And I'm booting it. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, we've had breakfast, I just want to go back to the hotel, get some sleep. So I'm booting it literally down the hill. I'm doing about 80 clicks an hour, 80 kilometers an hour, and I'm just booting it as fast as I can. And I hit the fence line, which is about 3 feet away from the side of the road. And all of a sudden he goes, no, don't. And it's like at that point I'm looking at him and thinking to myself, and this is what went through my mind. If I can't stop, if I stop, I'm going to hit the side of a truck. I didn't know if it was the truck or not. I just thought I'm going to hit the side of the truck.
Yeah.
If I accelerate, I have a great big chance of getting past him. So I put down, put down the gas and went ahead and looked over there, and all of a sudden, there's the truck, literally about 3 feet away from me.
Wow.
And I thought at that time, no big deal. I'll relax. He'll hit me and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
So the truck hit me, of course. I felt the impact. And then I went flying up into the air, came back down about 70 feet high, and then came back down again. And I missed the snowbank by 3 feet, hit the pavement, bounced up once, came back down again.
Oof.
And
I have visualized you hitting that pavement.
oh, trust me, it hurt.
I guess so.
So I hit the pavement and, bounced and came back down again. And the guys were all there like, uh-oh. So one of the guys, the lead guy, the number one guy, he came rushing up to me because he saw me flying. So he came rushing up, came back with his machine, came rushing up. And he said, don't move. And I said, yeah, you're right. I'll just lie here for a bit.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Uh-huh.
I'll just catch my breath here a little bit. So at that point, I was quite, very aware of everything else. So they went, and there was a house right on the corner, like right around the corner where the curb was. Sorry, guys, I'm coughing here.
Yeah, do you want a candy? It's just the air so dry here.
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't it?
I'm not right now.
Okay.
So anyhow, this guy, so they have to go to the house and ask for an ambulance, but nobody, this is Quebec, everybody speaks French.
Yeah.
Nobody in the group speaks French except for one guy who speaks a smattering of school French. So he makes it, he huffs it over to the house, asks them to call an ambulance. They do. The ambulance comes over and comes up to the guys, and they all look at each other, and they look down there, and they're pointing at me. And so the ambulance guys say, who speaks French here? And they all looked at each other and went, he does, pointing at me on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
So that point was like, hello.
Bonjour.
So my left side I was lying down on my left side, and of course, and that's what was hurting so badly. But they said to me, how you doing? I said, fine, just a little winded,
Yeah.
So they started cutting off my snowsuit and everything else. And I was quite upset at that because that was a $600 snowsuit that they were using scissors on. I wasn't too pleased with that. Anyhow, they patched me up. Everything was fine. They put me on the board and I started to hurt. The backboard.
Yeah.
And then they put me into the ambulance and then it really hurt.
Yeah.
And from the ambulance drive, it was a 20-minute drive, and it took 45 minutes to get me to the hospital because every little bump, I would just scream in pain.
Wow.
So, it took a while, and I almost died a couple of times in the ambulance, but I was hanging on to this guy's hand, the one who could speak French. And I said, don't let me fall asleep, because if I fall asleep, I'm gone forever. So he didn't. And every time I go to knock off, he'd wake me up and, Rene, stay with me. And then I got into the hospital, and of course I fought them for an hour and a half as they're trying to put down tubes into my throat, my nose, everything else, because I didn't want to lose consciousness. And so they did. They operated on me. They finally got me under. They operated on me. I died twice on the operating table, I'm told. I don't remember it, but they did. Basically, got repaired. So, like I said, the whole thing happened. None of this would have happened if I hadn't been moving through a lot of stuff in my life. In 1988, in September of 88, I had left my wife for another woman. And thinking to myself that, great, finally I found the love of my life. And that was in September of 88. I said, by October of 88, she's saying, I don't want to be with you anymore. So long, farewell, goodbye. So I was devastated. I went to a depression, a small depression, not a major one, but a small, good enough. And it was during this time that I went to see, a friend of mine said to me, he says, you got to see the psychic. And I said, psychic? Yeah, no way, Jose. Yeah, I go to a psychic.
Yeah.
So I went to see the psychic, and it turns out he was a trance channeler. And as soon as I saw him lie down, I said, that's what I have to do. That's exactly what I have to do. So that's where I learned about what my life's purpose was. So that was 88. I was going through some depression, still hanging in there, trying to change myself, trying to get it. In the fall of 88, I started suffering from SAD, because I always do.
Yeah.
And I started going in and getting some sun tanning, to try to get some sunlight, to try to feel better.
Yeah.
And finally, the guys invited me to go snowmobiling, and this is how it happened. So I come to in the hospital after about a month being in the hospital. Apparently now, because I wasn't awake, they had me into ICU for 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks in ICU.
Oh.
Yeah. They injected me with every kind of thing you could ask for.
Yeah.
They had me on morphine and Valium, and they had me on all kinds of painkillers.
Yeah. You were all broken.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow, they pulled me out of ICU and put me into nursing care after 3 weeks. And that's like 24 hours. I'm right beside the nursing station. Literally, there's a room right there next to the nursing station. And they put you in there so that they can watch you 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And so things were starting to improve. I came to in that nursing care area on day 2, I think it was, day 3 of being in there. And I guess they weaned me off of the morphine and the Valium a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I started coming to. And that's when I started looking at the time, and I started thought, what time is it? Like, what day is it? What time is it? So they told me, and then they asked me to remember if I remembered. So that's how they knew I was still all there,
Yeah.
not completely lost.
Yeah.
And I started going through this whole thing of, okay, what's happened? Where am I?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever is going on. And I thought, hey, I'm in a hospital. This is cool. Everybody here is in green. This is even better. Because I had gone for 2 years to a bunch of psychics, tried every psychic in the book.
Yeah.
And they all said that I was going to meet a lady in green. And I thought, what better place to meet a lady in green than in a hospital where everybody's wearing green? Maybe this is the place I meet the love of my life.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so I thought that was a positive. What the heck? I just got hit by a truck, but who cares?
Yeah.
I'm going to meet the lady I love.
Yeah.
So I basically, from there on, it's like, it took about a week. I was in nursing care for about a week, not quite a full week. And that's when they made me start to walk. That's when they made me start, I had to start pooping again. Because, of course, once you get hit, you know what happens to everything that's down there. It all goes, and then, yeah. Mm-hmm. And trust me, your pooper don't work, your peer don't work. They had something inside of my pee thing that was about the tube that was about that long. They had to pull out.
Oof.
Okay, so
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was a month after the fact too, right?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So the doctor comes into the room because I'm starting to come to,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, "How you doing?" I said, "Great." He says, "Good." He said, he says, "You did give us a bit of a fright." He says, "You might not walk again." I said, "What do you mean you might not walk?" He says, "Well," he says, "we were a little concerned about your leg." He says, "But yeah," he says, "well, we managed to put it together. We pinned it, and we put plates in there and everything else. But you might not be able to walk again." And I said, "Nah, I'll walk. Just watch me."
Mm-hmm.
I said, 6 months I'll be walking."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Well, good for you." But he says, "If it don't work, we can always pull the leg off. We can always cut it off." I said, "Okay, thank you." So at that point, I realized that I could either believe in what the doctor said or I could believe in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew when I said 6 months, I said to my mind at that point, God damn it, why didn't you say 3 months? Because 3 months would have been so much better than 6 months.
Yeah.
But my mind said 6 months and I went with it.
They were going to cut your leg off.
Oh, yeah.
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 goodness.
Well, part of the story, I'm not telling all the story, because part of the story, when I say, I died twice, I'm always fond of saying, I went to heaven the first time and they said, no, you don't belong here.
Yeah.
I went to hell the second time and they said, no, I don't belong here. But it's fine, you fuckers don't want me, go back.
Yeah.
So anyhow.
Yeah.
So what happened is, of course, I had a chance to believe in something,
Right.
the doctors or myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a conscious choice, because at that point I was working on myself to be very conscious. A conscious choice to choose my life.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, it took about a month after I came out of the hospital, I came out of the hospital in total about a month after my accident. They drove me from Quebec to Ontario, and then from Ontario at the hospital, I had some guys, my friend picked me up and he took me home. Well, that was the other thing. They take me home and of course, he's driving a Ford Taurus. I've got everything in my left side is broken. My tibia, fibula, my femur, split lengthwise. I broke 10 ribs, lost my spleen. So my ribs, everything inside is gurgling and jiggling because I got nothing's in place.
Yeah.
So you're driving over home and you're driving over every bump and all your insides, your stomach's going, you know, everything's moving. It was painful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and he brings a Ford Taurus to pick me up, which has one of those contoured seats, you know, so that they're really wonderful, but you know, the contour around so that they hold you in, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not so good. So they get me home and he has some friends there to help me into the house. And first thing the guy does is he reaches around and grabs me by the ribs. Here, let me help you in. I almost fainted at that point. He realized he shouldn't have been doing that.
Yeah.
So I said, just let me use these crutches and try to get in. So I got in. And it took me 4 days before I could even get out of bed. It took me almost a month before I could actually, you know, make my way to the bathroom properly. To make my way to the bathroom, you see that door behind me there? That's about 15 feet.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's the distance from where I sat to where my bathroom was.
Yeah.
And it took me 22 minutes to walk that. Yeah.
So little tiny steps, painful.
Painful steps. Yep.
Yeah.
I had to plan my day. If I was going to have any snack food, I'd sit on the couch, watch TV. If I'm going to have any snack food, I'd grab it with my crutches and walk with my crutches and the snack food in plastic garbage bags. So that I could have some snack because nobody was there. I was alone.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I had anybody living with me.
Yeah.
My landlady, she, bless her soul, she took care of me. She came in and gave me breakfast and dinner. But you know, her idea, dinner, the first day I come back, she comes in and she brings me dinner. She's made a chicken, I swear to God, it's the size of a 10-pound turkey, okay?
Yeah.
She says, here, you're a big man, you need to get some weight back on you. Well, of course, I ate about that much chicken in those days. And I was like, oh, I'm stuffed, I'm full. Yeah, she was nice, you know, she really meant well.
Yeah.
She took care of me.
Yeah.
And, and that was the other thing too. She decided that she was going to drive me to the hospital for my physio, which was very nice of her. But the first time she drove me to the hospital, she almost got me hit by another truck. She went and drove right in front of a truck, this huge gasoline truck coming at us, and she literally comes right out in front of him, and he's honking and he's braking and he's swerving and everything else, and she just goes along and drives right in front. I'm in the car going, you know?
Yeah.
And finally I went home and I said, thank you. I think I can manage to drive myself the next time. I should be okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Never drove with her again.
Was she insulted?
No.
That's just
She
drove.
That's the way she drove. So anyhow, it took some time, but within 6 months, not only was I walking, I was off my crutches, I was having a cane, and I was walking with my cane.
Wow.
Now, if I had believed the doctors and their prognosis that I would never walk again, my choice would have been that at that point, I wouldn't have been walking.
Yeah.
My kid sister, who lived in Cornwall at the time, and she was working in the hospital as a lab tech, she said that there was another guy in Cornwall that had a very similar accident to me, except that he only had 8 broken ribs, not 10.
Right.
But basically, it was about almost a year later, and he was still in the hospital, and they were going to amputate his leg.
Wow.
Because that's what they believe. Now, am I a better healer? No. I just think differently.
Yeah.
And I knew that I could do this. The whole point of the conversation here is to let you realize that what you can do to heal yourself isn't just a mental mind exercise. You have to believe it with every fabric of your being. There can be no doubt. It's not like you're sitting there in your mind going, yeah, I can do this, 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 yeah, I know I can do this, yeah. You know?
Maybe.
You literally have to make a statement where your mind, your body, and your emotions and your spirit all come together and say, we are doing this. And if you do that, anything's possible. You can accomplish anything. I healed myself. Within a year, I had no crutches. The doctors were amazed at how fast I would heal. They said that it's impossible for a leg with that much injury to heal that fast. And yet a year later, There was no need for me to have a cast on the leg. I had no cast. I had no, I was no crutches, no nothing. And 6 months I had no cast. And then at the same time, every time I go in for my checkup, everything was perfect. The bones have healed. People ask me today, I've had one of the plates on the tibia, I think it's the tibia, removed. But the one on the femur, of course, I still got about 35 screws in there and a big long plate.
I saw those X-rays. That's a lot of screws and a lot of
If I showed you the X-rays, people, trust me, you would not like it.
Yeah.
Anyhow, they basically, I still have that in the body. And people ask me oftentimes, does it react to the weather? Do you kind of get, if the weather's bad, you get sore hips or whatever, sore bones? No. Why? I don't believe I do. I don't believe to me, I don't identify myself as an injured person with an injury. I identify myself as a person who went through an event, and that's it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So there are certain considerations. I can't run as fast as I used to, but then that might have to do with the fact that I've got about 40 pounds extra on my weight too. That could be it.
You're a fast runner though still.
Yeah, well, that's only because I chase you on the bed a little more. That's all.
I go slow.
Yeah, well, see, that's why I catch you.
My secret's out.
And it's sometimes when I walk, if I'm very, very tired, you'll start seeing a slight limp, a little bit to the right, and I have to adjust for that. But overall, no, you couldn't tell the difference between me and a normal human being.
No.
You would not know that I've had an accident. You certainly wouldn't know how bad it was. And this is, well, you figure that was 88, and we're what now? It's almost 30 years. It's 28 years ago.
Wow.
28, yeah, almost 28. It'll be 28 in January this coming year.
Yeah.
So you figure,
Yeah.
And no, it doesn't affect me. No, there's nothing, no problems with it. I'm still as good as I used to be, and I can still chase my wife around the bed.
Yeah.
And I'm still good with that.
You can.
So the thing is, though, okay, so then I thought to myself, okay, great, I've gone through the physical injury and I've healed myself. I have healed myself too. I thought I did pretty good too. And I thought,
yourself?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about, let's see, that was 89, 90, 91, 92. I was going through, I still hadn't met the person that I wanted to be in love with, the person that I wanted to have in my whole life. And all these psychics kept telling me again it was going to be a lady in green. So I'm looking for anybody wearing green,
Yeah.
Green hair, green jacket, green pants, green shirt,
Yeah.
which was the silly thing. But anyhow, and eventually I was in the middle of a meditation class and I met this woman. I thought, wow, she's fantastic. So of course, we connected, we started together, but unfortunately it was one of those, I thought she was my soulmate, and she was in a way, but she was the part of my soul that was reflecting back to me my own self-harm. So the relationship was so bad and so emotionally harmful, because I went up and down emotionally, up and down. One day she loved me, the next day she didn't. The next day she loved me, the next day she didn't. 1 minute she loved me, the next minute she didn't. And you're going up and down here, and you're trying to have a semblance of a structured life, and you can't, because 1 minute she's after you, the next minute she doesn't want you. The next minute she's after you. So as soon as you pull away, she wants you, and as soon as you come close, she doesn't want you.
That push-pull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I experienced all that.
Yeah. How stressful.
It was very stressful, to the point that I think it was in the fall of '92, I ended up in an absolute nervous breakdown. Just an absolute nervous breakdown. I always honestly believed that as long as I had my mind, that I would always be okay. But I lost my mind. And at that point, I knew I was not going to be okay.
Oh, this has been frightening.
It was the most frightening thing I've ever experienced, losing my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Losing my body, not a problem.
Yeah.
Losing my mind, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So,
That's good.
sorry. So there I am, I go to the hospital. They diagnose me with a nervous breakdown, hand me some pills, and say, go on home.
No way.
Okay. So I go home, I lie in bed, pull the cover over my head, and stay there for about 3 months,
Wow.
bawling my eyes out. Can't live, can't survive, can't even make it to the bathroom by myself.
Wow.
Don't feel like living, don't
Yeah.
want to live,
Huh. Yeah.
have no desire to continue. This is the end, as far as I'm concerned. What's the point? But at the end of it all, and then one day she calls.
Oh.
Of course,
Yeah.
to find out how badly I was doing.
Yeah.
Anyhow, and she said to me, she says something that really stuck with me. She says, this is your mess. You get yourself in it, you get yourself out of it. I have nothing to do with this. And I thought, you bitch.
Yeah.
So at that point, I thought to myself, fine, I'm not letting you get the best of me. And from that moment on, I started doing what I had to do to heal. I started taking charge of my life. I started getting out of bed. Hey, I can see your hand. Getting out of bed. I started.
Sorry.
We got Maggie next to us, and she's just throwing her hair around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyhow, if you wonder where that little hand is,
Yeah.
it's a little gremlin.
Coming out there and dropping stuff. Yeah.
So I started going through this whole thing of I'm going to recover. There's no way I'm letting you take care of me. And I had to rebuild myself mentally and get back my whole ability to think. And I will say, it took me a lot of years to feel like I could think rationally and could think clearly. It took about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Of starting to really feel like I had a handle on myself again, that I was really thinking strongly. So the whole nervous breakdown and losing my mind was the worst experience that I had, and certainly the one that lasted the longest.
Even beyond the physical level.
Yeah, because I mean the truck was like, it was one of those, no big deal, I'll just take care of it, I'll get back, it'll sweat. The mind, ooh.
Yeah, will you ever get it back? That's how I would feel.
Yeah, and it took, even today, there are times when I find myself being not rational in my mind. And it's like my mind is said to me, okay, you want to lose me? Great, you're lost. You want me back? Okay, but now you're going to do it on my terms. So I went, okay, hang on a second now. First, you don't run me. You're my mind, you're not me, okay?
Yeah.
And secondly, you're going to do what I want you to do. So it took a while, but I finally wrestled my mind into what I needed it to be. Now, since then, so you figure this, 92, 93, 94, 95, I got remarried, left that marriage, met Maggie, and we've been together since 97.
Yeah.
And since then, I've rebuilt my life physically, mentally, emotionally, and I've had to do a lot of work on myself. Before I met Maggie, I had to do a lot of emotional work as well, because my mind could not become rational until I did the emotional work. And this is what's really important here, is for all of you to realize that we might think that we can heal ourselves physically, and we're really good at it. Sometimes healing ourselves physically is a pain. Like I've got a cold right now going on. Trust me. Nobody wants a cold. Not when you're in Arizona and there's sunshine, So, we have these little colds. They're not a big deal. But when you start losing the important part of yourself, the emotional part, the mental part, where your mind no longer can function, you can't think to yourself how to put your pants on. You can't think how to eat, how to go to the bathroom. These things are no longer part of your life, and you're all alone. Sorry.
It's okay.
So,
Do you want a little candy?
I just take that.
Okay. It got that severe. Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you think to yourself, there's no way I can survive this. But then you realize, but I must.
Yeah.
My mind won't survive it, but I must. So what I did is I retrained my mind to become what I wanted it to be. Whereas before I was quite arrogant in myself. My mind, it could deal with anything until it found out it couldn't.
Yeah.
And then it had to depend on my spirit. My spirit guided my mind to becoming that which I am today. And it takes a long time. And It's not something that you can sit there and say to yourself, great, wonderful, I'll just do that, no problem. Any of you who have really worked on yourselves to, to start realizing, sorry, having another candy here, to start realizing that all of this stuff that you're working on, all of this, expressions of healing, and it's mental, it's physical, I'm going to think my way through this. I'm going to really, my mind's going to tell me I can do this. And my mind, sorry guys, your mind at that point is your own worst enemy, because it has been doing it all your life and it only knows that way. You literally have to almost, I hesitate to use the word, but I don't mean kill off the mind, but almost destroy the mind's ability to be in charge. You have to destroy that ability so that emotionally, you heal yourself emotionally, and then the emotions can take over your mind and over your body, and then you become one between your body, your mind, and your emotions, and of course your spirit.
Yeah.
And when we're going to be working on the retreat that's coming up in July, the Wonders have said to us, this is the work we have to do to get to the place we want to be.
Yeah.
It's no longer good enough to think our way into this. We can't keep saying to ourselves, I can do this. We have to literally heal ourselves emotionally. And unfortunately, that means looking at, looking at the hurt, the pain, the rage, the anger, the frustration you've got inside of you, the lack of love, how much you've hurt yourself and harmed yourself, self-responsibility. What does that mean emotionally, not just mentally, but emotionally, and being able to look at yourself and say, this is what I'm going to do to heal myself.
Yeah.
And when you heal yourself emotionally, then things come into balance.
Yeah.
Because then spirit could look at you and go, okay, now that we've got all of this done, let's move to the next level and let's create the life. Like seriously, what we're doing here, Maggie and I, with the Wonders and everything else, none of that would have happened if I hadn't done the emotional work to allow the Wonders to come through.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have happened. So I was playing around with the Wonders a little bit at the beginning before Maggie came along, but before Maggie came into my life, I spent 4 months straight, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, doing strictly emotional healing. 4 months.
Wow. And
it was after those 4 months that I was able to finally look at myself and say, I am ready now to bring the person that I love into my life, which of course didn't know was Maggie, but as it turns out, by the way, she's also the lady in green. You don't realize it, but she's Irish.
Yeah.
And little did I know when they were talking about the lady in green, they meant an Irish woman.
Yeah.
A fiery Irish woman, too.
Yeah.
Trust me. Fiery.
Lots of fire. Yeah.
Lots of green and lots of fire going on there.
Yeah.
And, it's like I had to heal that part to let that other part grow. And then I started with the Wonders. Started being able to put out the Wonders like you see them today, and all the material we've done over the last 18 years. None of that would have happened if I hadn't healed myself emotionally.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing to change the world if I hadn't done the work on myself to bring that about.
Yeah.
And, the Wonders say that this is the watershed point. This is where we have to do it. I really firmly believe that whoever is going to be at that retreat coming up in July is going to have an opportunity to work not only with the Wonders, but with me personally, with Maggie personally.
Yeah.
I can work with you on such an intense personal level that you cannot escape yourself emotionally.
No.
And I will help you achieve a vision for you to find yourself. Now, I can't fix you, but if you look straight at yourself, you have a chance then at that point to say, this is what I want to change.
Yeah.
I can't force you to change, but by God, I can make sure that you can't avoid it.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is the kind of work that I will do with you.
It's awesome.
And it won't be just during the sessions, it'll be just in between the sessions, it'll be an all day thing.
It's a great thing about being there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these are the circumstances, and this is, this is what I wanted to bring to you. I really wanted you to realize that healing physically was the easy part in my life. Healing emotionally, mentally was the most difficult part. Healing emotionally afterwards was the icing on the cake. And without that icing, the cake just wouldn't have tasted the same. All right, so I'm feeling really, but I tell you what we'll do is we'll take a look and see what questions we have here. Okay? I probably have answered some of these, but anyhow.
Just might change glasses so I can see.
Okay. All right, so Diane, how did you wrestle it to do what you wanted your mind to do? I didn't wrestle it. I told it to fuck off. This is what I was going to do. That's all there was to it.
I wondered that too.
It's not a question of when you wrestle something, you're saying it's got power over you. No way. My mind didn't have any power. There was no way. It was not going to take over my life. It was not going to tell me how to live. I knew I wanted to live very consciously. I knew I wanted to live in a very conscious fashion, very aware fashion. And I knew that meant that my mind had to be a tool that I was going to use. I didn't know that in the sense of, the words the wonders have said, but I knew that that's what I had to have. So for me, it's had to be the tool. And I told my mind, you are the tool, and I'm the person that wields the tool. So fuck off, get on board. And it did. Of course, it took a nervous breakdown before I got on board, but I got on board.
Yeah. So you just tell it, because I don't want a nervous breakdown.
No.
I tell mine. Yeah.
I'm just looking up at some of the questions here. Let's look at this one. Did you choose to be aware at all times, sometimes, or most of the times, of your healing process? Absolutely, John. If you're not aware 100% of yourself all the time, how can you possibly heal anything? The key to everything is to be aware, not to control, not to say, this is how it has to be done, this is how you're going to live, this is what you're going to do, this is how it's going to happen, but to be aware of what you want. You have to make the decision, not your mind, not the person next door to you. You have to make a decision that this is how I am going to live. Either I'm going to live in a way that lets people impact me and let, I can react to them, or in a way that I am constant and what goes on around me doesn't affect me that way. It takes time. You gotta apply it, but if you apply it, you will get there.
Yeah.
Let's see what else I got here. Okay. Eleanor, are there still problems with your body or elsewhere in your being that you are dealing with from that accident? And if so, what are you doing to heal? Well, Eleanor, guess what? No, I don't have any problems other than the fact that I'm overweight. I don't have any problems.
Yeah. That's not even a problem.
Well,
I don't think so.
I just can't run as fast.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any problems. Like, it's not that I've adjusted my life to accommodate it. I can still go horseback riding. I can still go skidooing, snowmobiling. I can still do all of that stuff. In fact, I would do it if I was inclined to it, if I had the money for it. Actually, I am inclined to it, but I don't have the money. How's that? So I would do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So no, there are no limitations. The only limitations you have are the ones you impose on yourself. If you say to yourself, I can't do something because I've got this going on, well, guess what? You can't do it.
Yeah.
Today, I got a cold, okay? Do I do this broadcast today or not? The question was going to be, can it be done? I've gone through a major this week where I had a really bad sore throat. I couldn't swallow. It went, of course, into a head cold, chest cold. And, I kept thinking to myself, do I give in to this or not? And the answer is no, I'm not. So yeah, I'm doing it. It's not pretty. I cough a little bit. I have to take the candy, but nothing is going to stop me. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's the key. Do not let anything ever tell you, not your mind, not your body, not your friends, not your acquaintances, not your family, not your minister, your doctor, your lawyer, your Indian chief.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody ever say to you, you can't. The can't is yours to decide.
A sneeze.
There she goes.
Thank you.
I can't do that either. And I know that.
Oh, yeah, you just let it out.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
All right. Let's see. Michael, why is it that people has to hit rock bottom or have an accident to wake up? Jesus, Michael, I don't know. That's what it took for me. Sometimes for people, it takes a life-changing moment to get them to say to themselves, I can't do it this way now. I got to do it differently. Unfortunately, those life-changing moments sometimes can end up in death. And it does.
Yeah.
But that's really life-changing at that point, isn't it? Hey, got rid of that body. Let's go try another one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know why people do this, other than the fact that I do realize that for most people, it's like getting hit on the side of the head with a 2x4. The 2x4 just isn't strong enough. You need a steel beam to hit them, to whack them on the side of the head, to wake them up, to realize that, hey, life has to change. Think about it. You know, I've been doing this now for 18 years. The wonders have been coming through for 18 years to all the world. We have a vast resource of library, and I know it's expensive. I know there's a lot of cheap shit in there, but I know it's expensive too.
Some free stuff.
And there's some street. You know, we're doing a lot of that. We're doing as much as we can to give it, to let you involve in it. But the point is, how many of you listening today have listened to the material enough to take it and change your lives the way you want? Sure, you change it a little bit, and you say to yourself, I can't do anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm too scared. I won't go there. No, I can't. And of course, the I can't is always I can't. But if you realize that the I can't is just your mind saying to you, I can't or I won't, then at that point you have to look at yourself and say, who's in charge here? Is it my mind that says I won't, or is it me? And if it's you, okay, then honor that. And if it's your mind, then keep moving forward, regardless of how scared you are. Because fear, you know, is just a mind game that we end up playing with ourselves, where the mind is the one that sits there and says to us, hey, I'm in charge.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Let me see what else I got here. Okie dokie. How bad were the injuries and how did you start healing? Hey, that's Lukasz from Poland. Very good, Lukasz. Well, let me put it to you this way. I broke my tibia and my fibia, and I had a plate from the ankle all the way up to the knee, and along with 15 pins, screws in there. I broke the femur. I broke it this way, this way, this way, split lengthwise, and broke my hip as well. So I have a plate right now from the knee all the way up to the hip. I have 35 screws going into the femur, and I have a great big huge pin that's about the size of my finger that goes into my hip. I broke 10 ribs and I lost my spleen. So yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. I saw the x-rays. They were, frightening.
I like this one. How big was the truck and how fast did it go? Let me put it to you this way, buddy. It was a pickup truck. It was a half-ton pickup truck, but it looked mighty big when you're looking at it, like literally 3 feet away. It looks pretty big. Yeah. Okay, and how fast was it going? It was only going about, because the speed limit was about 50 kilometers an hour, so it's going about 60, 65 kilometers an hour at the time. So it wasn't so bad. I was doing 80. I was doing 60. That's no big deal.
You're doing 80?
80.
Wow.
Actually, I was pushing it. I was doing closer at 90.
Wow.
Because I was coming down that hill pretty good.
Wow.
Okay. Let's see what else. Okay. Joan, please clarify what you mean by having to develop your emotional self for the healing process. Well, let me put it to you this way, Joan. If on an emotional level, you don't love yourself enough to be able to let yourself change, to be able to let yourself, look at life and say, no matter how afraid I am, I'm still going to change. If you can't love yourself enough to make that change, you will never, ever heal yourself physically or mentally. You have to love yourself enough. And that's what I mean by emotional health. I mean, getting to the point where all those little parts inside of you that you really don't like about yourself, that you hate, I don't like the way I look, I don't like the way I feel, I don't like when somebody makes me feel like this, or I don't like my parents because of what they did for me, or I don't like my friends when I was younger, or I got abused, or I got hurt, or all of that stuff has to be healed. You have to get through it. Get rid of the rage, get rid of the anger, get rid of the frustration that's attached to those events, so that emotionally you can look at yourself and say, I am a whole, complete person, and I love who I am. I'm not perfect. Don't get me wrong. I am not a perfect human being, okay? There are still things about me that I'm working on, and I will be until the day I die, okay? Besides, what's the point? That's what I'm here for anyways, is to have fun.
Yeah.
So why would I not make those choices and changes, okay? So for me, finding those things that irritate me, finding those things that scare me, finding those things that really I'm still haven't quite addressed, that's the gold mine. That's like the Bitcoins in your life. You want to find those, dig them out, and you want to get rid of that shit. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Lukash, what was your state of being at the time, and were you thinking about something? Actually, my state of being was I was very tired, really exhausted, and I was thinking about going home to bed.
Yeah.
Going back to my hotel room and going into my bed. That's what I was thinking about. That was basically it. I wasn't thinking about the fun I was having. All I was thinking about was like, hey, I'm heading home. That's good,
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I'd love to do an interview with you, Rene and Maggie, and learn from the wonders since 2006, listening to the Wonders Hour radio show. Well, Brian, hey, Brian, the best way to learn, of course, is to continue listening to the Wonders.
Yeah.
And absolutely, give us an email, send us an email, whatever. And what kind of an interview would you like to have? And, what else can I talk to you about? And, what would this be for? All of those questions, okay? The point is, though, is whatever you do, there is a vast resource library there waiting for you. All you have to do is tap into it. And I guarantee you most of your questions will be answered there, okay? Okay, let me take a look at this one. A new viewer, Chiller. Okay. Risa, do wonders always come through when you want them to, such as when you have a session with someone? Or must they work with them when they are available? No, the wonders are always there, and basically I'm the one that decides when I want to let go. They will always honor me, so they won't force themselves onto me. So it's a question of, do I let go? And it's quite easy. I take one breath and I'm gone. In fact, if you go to YouTube and you see me oftentimes going under, it's one breath back, that's it, I'm gone. Yeah. And don't have to worry about it, okay? And, okay, Joan, I like this question. Did you know that you were not choosing to die at that point, despite your injuries and before the accident? Yes, absolutely. When I got hit, and like I said to you, when I went into the hospital, and they were trying to stuff those, breathing tubes down your nose, up your nose, and your throat, and everything else. Yeah. They're trying to intubate you. I think that's the word. Anyhow, I swore I was not going to die. I was not ready to die. Okay. But having said that, let's be realistic. How many people are not ready to die and they still die? So, I may not have been ready to die. I may not have wanted to die, but I knew that I could. It was possible. But as I was going under, now as I was losing consciousness, I told myself, regardless of what happens, I was definitely going to not pass on. So like I said, it's a nice little story about, going up to heaven, going up down to hell.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, you've got to sit there and say, this is what I want. you know, and,
Yeah.
and that's what I did. You know, there's something else that I wanted to mention here. You know, at the end of the day, when you're looking at yourself, when I came to in the hospital and became consciously aware again in the hospital, I realized that everything in my life was going to change. I realized one thing, and one thing's very, very important, that I had no more time left. I could no longer bullshit myself about my life. Life could be end on any second, in any way, shape, or form. And I live today that every second is my last second. So you can't keep bullshitting yourself that you got all kinds of time to change this, all kinds of time to change that, all kinds of time to do this, all kinds of time to do that. Oh, don't worry about that. I'll deal with that tomorrow. Oh, you know, I can take care of this next week. It's not important.
Yeah.
Okay? No. You have to live in the moment, be in the moment, and stop bullshitting yourself, because that moment could be your last moment. And that's one of the things that I realized. Okay. All right. Okay, this one here, Diane. Did you work on your emotional self all by yourself? Of course, Diane. I didn't have anybody there to help me. I did it myself. I did have a friend, you know, absolutely amazing guy. Bob Holmes was his name. And we used to sit around in his bookstore and we'd shoot the shit. And of course, every time we'd shoot the shit, he'd say something and it would trigger me all over again. And off I go and do some work on myself.
He was good at that.
Yeah, he would just sit there and say, why? What do you mean, why? Okay, off I go, work on why.
One little question.
You know?
Yeah.
So he was great that way.
Yeah.
But no, I did the work. There wasn't somebody else helping me out. I had to do it. Okay. Kind of okay, Eleanor, what are you doing asking me about vitamin C? Large quantity currently, most vitamin C is being made from genetically modified corn. Have you found any organic or GMO-free vitamin C? No, actually, you know, I buy the best vitamin C that I have available from reputable companies, and you know, that's it. That's all I can do. You do the best you can with what you got. You know, it's not about, you know, buying the right vitamin C, the best, you know, you just have to buy the best that's available to you. At the end of the day, it's how much do you take and is it helping your body? And that's basically all I do, okay? And one final, absolutely final question from Diane Fishingham. Diane, how did you retrain your brain? Did you follow any particular program, any particular book? Which tools did you seek? Diane, read my lips. I followed my book, me, my way. Okay, there is no way. You got to do it yourself. You know, books are great. They provide you insights. They give you direction. They might even give you some ideas. But at the end of the day, if you follow somebody else's book, you're doing somebody else's work. You want to do the work for yourself on yourself.
Yeah.
So yes, use the resources. And I'm always part of saying, use the wonders as a resource. I mean, that's what they are. They're a resource. But you got to do it yourself. So Diane, all the best. Work on it yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's more rewarding that way. All right, people. I think that's it. I'm done. My voice is gone. Good Lord, I've been on here for almost an hour.
Wow.
Have a good time, everybody. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and Joyeux Noël for all of those
Great
who
holiday.
might or might not be French.
Okay.
Anyhow, yes, great holiday. Happy Hanukkah. And, you know, how do you say Merry Christmas in Polish?
Wesołych świąt.
I can't say that.
Say it loud.
Say it loud.
Wesołych świąt.
There you go.
That's Polish.
That's Polish for you, buddy.
Merry Christmas.
Take care, enjoy, and we will do this again another time.
And thank you, everyone.
Take
for
care.
coming.
Yes, appreciate it.
Yes.
Hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye, everyone.